Hard to get the attention of a girl as a guy. Well, I say this as a kind of trouble for some people because a lot of people may think that if they cannot get the attention of a girl or someone, a female that they may like as a guy, that seems to be the crumbling death of their life. See, if you're getting such feelings out of a bad outcome, it's kind of more like an unhealthy expectation or probably even an obsession. These two are not good as a startup. If you start any endeavor or any action with either of these two or both of them in mind, either conscious mind or unconscious mind, but typically unconscious mind, well, you're only setting yourself up for failure. See, times have changed. The idea of this society is that typically the man catches the girl's attention, the woman's attention, right? And they should ultimately impress her. But see, this sick society only favors the narcissists and, the sick people. And sick people only tend to take from you. See, you've been raised in a sick society where all sorts of deviants think that, if they have a pussy, they have some kind of power. Well, they do have some sort of power because women can control men through their own lust. Yes, if you as a man are lusty, obviously you're gonna be easily controlled by some women. Maybe not all, but most or many of them can easily control you by simply denying you whatever you're obsessing about, because the more you are denied something, the more obsessed you become with it. That is why fetishes, I always tell people, fetishes are not the best way to experience something, because when something becomes your obsession, it is easily to be controlled, right? Someone who constantly denies anything about you, not just fetishes, they're just gonna simply make you even more perverted towards that which you're suffering from. And in most, if not all situations, you're not suffering necessarily from your own pains and the such. You're suffering from someone else's, right? Especially ancestral karmic structure as well. So in these times, you have to understand as a man that you also have your own power. See, as a man, your first 20 years should be all about becoming better. While you're going to school and blah blah blah, you're gonna absolve, hopefully, or graduate as you call it, by let's say 18 or let's say 20 years of age, depending on length of studies or whatever. But when you're in your 20s, your early 20s, this sick society teaches you to always waste your time on all sorts of non productive things. But what if you start actually using that time to acquire some skills, to become better at something? See, the point in this life is a lot of women follow this silly idea that, they are all obsessing or, they're all focused on their silly little plans that most likely they'll never get to achieve. Because, see, all the girls nowadays, when you see, they're too busy with TikTok dances and all sorts of challenges because they crave so much attention from people they don't know that they forget there are people whom actually they do know or they can get to know because they are way closer to them. This is because they don't feel worthy of other people's attention. So it is better to them or safer for them if they show themselves to people that they cannot see. Because whoever they cannot see, such people in such lower levels of disrespect towards themselves, they think that the people whom they cannot see, they cannot get hurt by. But believe me, people on the internet can be very hurtful. Yeah, sure, you may be very resilient to, bad remarks, but ignoring others' hateful events doesn't mean that you have cured yourself from the poison they have transmitted you and put into your own system. See, the problem with so many of these girls is they forget the idea of sensitivity of life. When you put videos of you on the internet, they are available 24/7 to them or to any people who's obsessed with attention, or well, they do lack attention in life because we kind of all lack certain levels of attention, right? We all go through certain levels of attention seeking, but these people forget that it's a problem that those videos are 24/7 online. The problem is when people watch those videos, they watch an older version of you, yes, but when they're thinking or doing whatever, any thoughts that they're having, they're also sending those thoughts straight to you. Irrespective of where you are on the world, they have a certain influence on you based on how they feel. So imagine that you're doing TikTok dances and you're gonna have thousands of people wanking to you or thinking hateful thoughts about you or a mixture of these. Now you have a miserable life because, a lot of people, if not most, cannot handle the wave of things that can happen in their life. You can always be overwhelmed or at times overwhelmed by certain things, emotions, other people's requests, work, and this and that, problems in your own life. Now you also have energies coming from other people which will not serve you. Those energies will never serve you because, well, if you put yourself out in the world for something, well, typically that's gonna be the kind of vibe that you will attract back, right? If you're only interested in TikTok dances on, showing how sexy you can be, well, the problem with men is that they kind of forget a woman gets older and older. And that is why typically men will tend towards younger women. Some of the men, yes, obviously, they will be predators and they will wish to dominate younger women, but nowadays women seem to get a lot of so called sexual experience from very young ages, even before them actually being what most, if not all, societies may call as legal. But if we think a bit about this, typically men will chase younger women because a younger woman is much more pure. It's much fresher piece of life, we may say, because we are each a piece of life. But the problem is when people start investing in their own misery, would you want to invest your life or get married to someone who has invested 30 years in their misery or 20 years in their misery? Because someone who's less miserable obviously may be a better, more suitable companion for your life, right? Gender doesn't matter in here because misery is indiscriminate. It doesn't care whether you're a man or a woman, it just seeks to spread itself based on especially the ones around you. And in order to spread, it needs to make others miserable so that you can reap the rewards of misery from them. This is how misery functions, right? It plants misery in others so that it has what to reap upon you. Yes? Yes. So now when we think about catching someone's attention, see, when you want to catch someone's attention, if they don't have much of an esteem, they will have all sorts of excuses to push you back. Maybe you're better than them and they realize it, maybe you're not better than them. Whatever it is, when people are ignorant, they will always seek their survival instincts. And typically, it's always going to be something money related or sex related or something like that, right? The point about you as a man is that you have a certain power in society. You're actually the ones who are mostly building or building most of the society. Irrespective of society becoming a matriarchy or a patriarchy, the roles of the genders will never simply change. They will never function otherwise. So the point is, you have the power to build, to create, to shape. This is constructive energy, masculine energy, right? So the point is, create something in your life that will attract attention. Because if you go to someone to ask for their attention or their advice, well, they are the so called knowledgeable, right? They are the ones you put in power because you require them. What if we think a bit more about this? If you become the one that people may need, or people may require help from, or you may end up being capable of helping people, when others request your help, well, that's an invitation. So the point is, it is better to be invited than to invite, right? It is better to make the girl require your assistance than to actually necessarily go to her in the first place. Because the point of a meeting or calling a date is much better when it is called throughout a certain event where both benefit one from the other, right? It's not about running away from the responsibility, but women have this weird idea that the man should always be the one to initiate. They kind of forget that they are always the one to initiate. Because as a woman, you're always posting out psychological ideas through through the way you feel, through the way, your body gestures as well. The woman is always the one who sends subconscious signals that she is available. Yes, why do you think predators always seek certain specific kind of women? They may not know consciously, but you see, miserable people always put out signals that they're looking for someone to ruin their life. Yes, That is their point. Miserable people always look for someone to ruin their life, to make their life miserable. And well, people like being abused who are miserable. Yes, people who are miserable may like to be abused, may like to be taken through all sorts of carousels of emotions, may like being taken through drama and this and that. So the point is, as a female, your emotions are very powerful, they're very valid, but the point is, you're simply ignoring those. And whatever you're thinking or putting out to the world, even while you're stuck with your eyes in your screen, the point is, your emotions are easily perceivable by certain kinds of people. The conscious ones will be the ones who are very sensitive, and typically, people who are self ignorant will kind of discard these people because they simply cannot grasp that which is beyond them. It is always a fact. And well, they will also, such emotions will also be perceived by those who are, well, at a certain level, a very similar level of ignorance. And these people will obviously always respond because some people seek to ruin other people's lives. Some people seek to have their own life ruined. Some people seek a balance somewhat in between these. Everyone has their own lessons. So, these being said, remember that it is much easier to set up a certain situation in which you get to meet someone. Because the point of a date is not just to have someone, the point of a date should be that of welcoming someone within you, right? You can use masculine energy to go and meet the other person or, try to impress them. Or you can use feminine energy, a more graceful appearance, a more graceful approach to life. And this way, invite the other person into your life. Using feminine energy towards women is always a good idea, even as a man, and especially as a man, because this world lacks feminine power and feminine energy, especially feminine energy. And obviously, a lot of people will be very vulnerable to people that exude a lot of feminine energy. Even if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. People who exude grace, they will always be attractive. It doesn't matter necessarily whether you're physically not attractive, but someone who exudes feminine grace is someone who has patience, someone who can caress, someone who can take care. And this is something that will always draw women, because women aren't necessarily interested in sex. For them, it's a whole adventure that one needs to go through. It's all about teasing their senses, inviting you into their world, right? And that's what females do. They invite you into their world, but you can also invite them back. Once this reciprocity exists, that's surely going to be a very good and stable start. How you handle things afterwards, well, that is up to you. But the very simple point is, when you invite someone in your life and convince them that it is safe to stay, they will simply start opening up. Yes, this can always also be used by predators, but in the end, you cannot understand something if you don't experience it. People of any kinds, yes, there's all sorts of those out there, but ultimately, anyone can simply end up uh, on the wrong side of things or on a better side of things, right? Especially when it is about people and their necessities. Because one has to understand a relationship requires attention, a relationship requires focus, and also, especially, patience. Because you have to understand you have your own issues, but the other person also will have their own issues. How you balance these out and how you support one another will dictate how strong and how stable the relationship is. Why most relationships fail, and what I call relationship instead of a relationship, well, this is because a lot of people have expectations, stupid expectations, and they expect the other person to simply do everything for them. This is a kind of people that, you have to stay away from. And the problem with most people is when they lack patience, they just find someone and they start expecting things out of them. Everyone nowadays is instantly in a relationship. People simply don't want to invest time to study the other person. It's easy to simply do that because people who lack attention, you don't want them in your life. How you find them out? Well, they're always complaining about things, and most importantly, they're very bad listeners. If you're dating someone, obviously you're gonna go through dialogues, and the dialogue is supposed that you're also gonna talk as well. If the other person only talks, that's a big red flag, because ultimately you don't want to be in someone's life who always drags you down and complains, right? Someone who always talks well, they draw a lot of attention, right? What makes a difference if it is your attention or someone else's, right? And whoever listens more, well, they will incline to be there, right? They will incline to be theirs. And some people just take, some people just give, some people, it is always better to be in a certain balance, because what you give, the problem is, if you're just a giver, it's not just that you are a giver. What you give, you get back, because all life is a transaction. You just can't simply give, 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 and give. Why you're feeling drained if you just give is because you're giving your own energy and you're getting energy from others. No other human energy in this world is going to suit your body more than your own, right? And if that other human energy is also miserable, it's going to drain you even more, right? So the point about dating and the such is that you can do it from a masculine energy perspective or a feminine energy perspective. Feminine requires patience. When you use patience towards most people, it is always a good thing, because patience is something lacking in this world. Once you make use of things that are very lacking in the world, well, people will be drawn by that. Yet again, these can be used by toxic people as well as people who are, genuinely interested in taking care of others. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated. Take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.